Since you were a child, you have been force-fed a very specific, very dangerous lie. You have seen it on inspirational posters, heard it from religious leaders, and read it in self-help books. They told you to never lose hope. They told you that hope is the light at the end of the tunnel. They told you that no matter how terrible your life is right now, you must hold on to the belief that tomorrow will magically be better. Look at where that belief has gotten you. Look at the reality of your current existence. You are miserable in your career. Your body is weak. Your relationships are draining the absolute life out of you. And yet, you do nothing. Instead of taking violent, immediate action to change your circumstances, you tell yourself a comforting little fairy tale. You say, things will turn around soon. You say, my breakthrough is just around the corner. You say, the universe has a plan for me. You are not an optimist. You are an addict. And hope is the drug that is keeping you completely paralyzed. The great philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche understood this perfectly. He wrote a sentence that should be burned into your mind. Hope, in reality, is the worst of all evils because it prolongs the torments of man. This is core wisdom. If you are tired of being sedated by comfortable lies, if you are ready to kill the illusion and walk the path of the sovereign, you are in the right place. Subscribe. We build the fortress together. Let us dissect the pathology of hope. Let us drag this concept out of the realm of toxic positivity and look at exactly why you cling to it and how it is actively destroying your ability to command your own life. Why do you need hope so badly? Because the alternative is absolutely terrifying. The alternative requires you to look in the mirror and accept the full, crushing weight of your current reality. It requires you to admit that your life is a disaster, and more importantly, that you are the sole architect of that disaster. Your fragile ego cannot handle that level of accountability, so your mind creates a brilliant, self-soothing defense mechanism. It creates the illusion of a better tomorrow. When you hope, you are effectively outsourcing your salvation to a timeline that does not exist. You become a beggar of time. You continuously borrow from a completely imaginary future to pay for your cowardice and laziness today. You tell yourself that tomorrow you will start the business. Tomorrow you will leave the toxic partner. Tomorrow you will take control of your health. Because tomorrow is a magical, frictionless fantasy land where everything is easy, you have endless energy, and you are perfectly disciplined. But tomorrow never actually arrives. Tomorrow is a moving target. You are trapped in a perpetual cycle of waiting. Think of your life as a massive, sterile waiting room in a train station. You are sitting on a cold plastic chair. In your hand, you are clutching a golden ticket called hope. You stare up at the departure board, waiting for your perfect life to be announced. You watch other people, the ones who actually execute, the ones who embrace the brutal friction of the real world. You watch them walk right past you, step out of the station, and build their empires in the rain and the mud. But you stay in the chair. You tell yourself, my train is coming, I just have to be patient, I just have to keep hoping. Let me tell you the devastating truth about that waiting room. The train you are waiting for was canceled years ago. The tracks are rusted, the station is empty, and you are going to die in that chair, clutching a worthless ticket. Unless you wake up and realize that the concept of hope is a prison designed by your own mind. When you operate on hope, you are fundamentally rejecting the present moment. You are looking at the only physical reality you actually possess, right now, this exact second, and you are declaring it unacceptable. But instead of fixing it, you mentally abandon it. You escape into daydreams. You escape into the fantasy of the breakthrough. This is why people who are obsessed with hope are often the most deeply depressed and anxious individuals in society. Their minds are constantly stretched between the miserable reality they refuse to accept and the perfect future they refuse to actually build. They are stretched on a psychological torture rack of their own design. Look at the anatomy of this surrender. When you hope that the economy will improve, you are giving the government and the markets total control over your financial peace. When you hope that your boss will finally recognize your value, you are giving a stranger the remote control to your self-worth. When you hope that your partner will suddenly wake up and start treating you with respect, you are surrendering your dignity to someone who has already proven they do not care. Hope is the ultimate abdication of power. It is a white flag of surrender waved by a mind that is too terrified to go to war. The modern self-help industry has built a billion-dollar empire entirely on the foundation of selling you this surrender. They sell you vision boards. They sell you affirmations. They tell you to visualize your success, to manifest your desires, to put positive energy out into the universe and simply wait for the universe to deliver your dreams on a silver platter. This is not just ineffective, it is psychological poison. It completely detaches you from the mechanics of reality. Reality does not respond to positive vibrations. Reality does not care about your vision board. Reality responds to force. It responds to leverage. It responds to undeniable, ruthless competence. When you spend your time hoping and manifesting, you are engaging in a form of mental manipulation against yourself. You get the dopamine hit of imagining the success without having to endure the agonizing friction of actually doing the work. You feel good for 10 minutes, but nothing in your physical environment changes. The bills are still unpaid, the body is still out of shape, the mind is still weak. You are trading your actual life for a cheap, synthetic emotion. A sovereign man, a true conqueror of his own reality, absolutely despises hope. He views hope as an insult to his own capability. He does not hope that the storm will pass. He builds a ship that cannot be sunk. He does not hope that his enemies will show mercy. He makes himself so completely formidable that attacking him would be suicide. He does not hope for a good life. He extracts a good life from the jaws of the world using his own two hands. You have been conditioned to believe that losing hope is the saddest, most tragic thing that can happen to a human being. You are told that when a man loses hope, he gives up on life. This is the exact opposite of the truth. Giving up on hope is the single most liberating, powerful, and terrifyingly effective psychological shift you can ever make. Because when you finally murder your hope, when you finally slaughter the illusion of a magical tomorrow, you are left with only one thing: reality. The cold, hard, uncompromising concrete of the present moment. You are no longer suspended in the soft, fluffy clouds of the future. You crash back down to earth, and it hurts. The impact is agonizing. You realize how much time you have wasted. You realize how far behind you truly are. You realize that no one is coming to save you. But for the very first time in your life, your feet are actually on solid ground. When you finally stand on solid ground, you are forced to look down at the dirt. You are forced to look at the absolute mess you have made of your life. There is no more daydreaming. There is no more looking up at the clouds. There is only the undeniable, physical reality of the debt you owe, the weakness of your body, and the shattered state of your focus. This is the exact moment where 99% of men break. They cannot handle the blinding light of reality without the sunglasses of hope. But this is also the exact moment where the sovereign is born. Let us look at the ancient, ruthless mechanics of Eastern philosophy and the cold logic of Stoicism. Buddhism teaches a very simple, very terrifying truth. The root of all human suffering is attachment. You hear the word attachment and you think it means clinging to money, or to a toxic relationship, or to a specific identity. Those are symptoms. The most dangerous, the most deeply rooted, and the most destructive attachment of all is your desperate attachment to an imagined future. You are entirely obsessed with a phantom. When you hope, your mind completely abandons the physical reality of the present moment. You take the only tangible, controllable asset you possess in this universe, right now, and you sacrifice it at the altar of a god called tomorrow. But tomorrow does not exist. It is a completely fabricated concept. It is a ghost. When tomorrow finally arrives, it will not be tomorrow. It will just be another today. And if you have spent your entire life training your nervous system to ignore today in favor of the fantasy of tomorrow, you will never actually live. You will spend your entire existence as a ghost, haunting your own life, perpetually looking forward, never actually occupying the physical space you stand in. The Stoics understood the sheer, suicidal stupidity of this mindset. They understood that focusing your emotional energy on things outside of your absolute, immediate control is the definition of mental slavery. Is the future in your control? Absolutely not. You cannot control the macroeconomic cycle. You cannot control the hidden agendas of the people around you. You cannot control whether the market will accept your product or reject it with extreme prejudice. Yet, you tie your entire emotional stability to the hope that these uncontrollable variables will magically align in your favor. You are building a massive, heavy castle on the edge of a fault line. You hope for a specific outcome. You pray for a specific result. You weave your entire identity into the expectation that life will go exactly the way you planned it in your head. And then, the universe operates exactly how the universe always operates, with supreme, beautiful indifference. The market crashes, the partner leaves, the opportunity evaporates, the timeline you hoped for is violently destroyed. And because your entire foundation was built on the fragile glass of hope, you do not just experience a minor setback, you experience an absolute, devastating psychological collapse. You shatter into a million pieces. You become bitter. You become resentful. You play the ultimate victim, screaming at the sky, asking how the world could be so cruel. The world is not cruel. The world is just the world. It was your hope that betrayed you. It was your arrogant assumption that the universe owed you a specific future simply because you wanted it badly enough. A sovereign mind does not collapse, because a sovereign mind never hoped in the first place. A sovereign expects nothing. A sovereign demands nothing from the future, and therefore, a sovereign can never be broken by reality. Look at how you use hope as a psychological anesthetic. When your life hurts, when you look at your bank account and feel the cold panic of poverty, when you look in the mirror and despise the weak, undisciplined physical form staring back at you, that pain is not a mistake. That pain is a feature, not a bug. Pain is an evolutionary alarm clock. It is your biology screaming at you to change your behavior. It is telling you to wake up, to adapt, to hunt, to survive. It is the fuel of conquest. But instead of listening to the alarm, instead of letting that pure, unadulterated pain drive you to furious, immediate action, you reach over and hit the snooze button. That snooze button is hope. You tell yourself, it is okay. Next year will be my year. The right opportunity will come along soon. Things will get better. You take the brutal, necessary pain of your inadequacy and you numb it with a comfortable delusion. You anesthetize yourself. And because you numb the pain, you completely kill the motivation to actually fix the underlying problem. The fire goes out. The urgency dies. You bleed to death peacefully in your sleep, with a comfortable smile on your face, dreaming of a rescue ship that never even left the port. Hope makes you docile. Hope makes you compliant. Hope is the leash that society uses to keep the masses quietly waiting in line, instead of breaking the system and taking what belongs to them. If you strip a man of his hope, if you force him to realize that his current misery is permanent unless he physically destroys the obstacles in his path, he becomes incredibly dangerous. He becomes a weapon. He stops waiting, and he starts conquering. But as long as you can convince a man to just keep hoping, you can keep him in a cage forever. He will not bite the bars. He will not attack the guards. He will just sit in the corner, looking out the window, hoping that one day the door will magically swing open. You have been sitting in that cage your entire life. You have been hoping for a savior. You have been hoping for the perfect mentor to discover you. You have been hoping for the perfect timing to execute your master plan. The perfect timing is a myth. The mentor is not coming. The savior does not exist. You are completely, utterly, and beautifully alone in this. And until you accept the terrifying finality of that statement, you will remain a prisoner of your own optimism. So, if you completely destroy your hope, what replaces it? Do you just sink into nihilism? Do you surrender to despair? Absolutely not. Despair is just the dark shadow of hope. They are two sides of the exact same weak, pathetic coin. Despair is what happens when a man who relies on hope finally realizes that his drug supply has run out. The antidote to hope is not despair. The antidote is absolute, ruthless acceptance. The Stoics called it Amor Fati, the love of your fate. Amor Fati means you do not wish for reality to be anything other than exactly what it is right now. You do not wish for an easier life. You do not wish for better circumstances. You do not wish for the storm to miss your house. You look at the massive, terrifying obstacle standing in front of you. You look at the absolute wreckage of your current situation, and you smile. You say, "Good. This is my battlefield. This is the exact friction I need to build my empire." When you operate with Amor Fati, you become completely untouchable. How can the world possibly defeat a man who embraces every single tragedy, every single setback, and every single failure as raw fuel for his own evolution? You cannot break a man who has already accepted the worst-case scenario. When you kill hope, you stop negotiating with reality. You stop asking for discounts. You stop looking for shortcuts. You accept that the price of greatness is astronomical, and you gladly pay it in full, with your own blood, sweat, and time. You must fundamentally change your relationship with the future. A sovereign does not execute a plan because he hopes it will succeed. He executes the plan because it is his absolute duty to impose his will upon the world. He builds the business knowing the market might crash. He trains his body to the point of exhaustion, knowing that time will eventually destroy it anyway. He builds the fortress, knowing that the enemy might still breach the walls. He does the work because the work itself is the reward. The execution is the victory. He is completely detached from the future outcome and hyper-attached to the present action. This is the ultimate secret of Eastern philosophy. This is true detachment. When you are no longer attached to the fantasy of a perfect tomorrow, you reclaim 100% of your cognitive bandwidth. All the energy you used to waste on anxiety, daydreaming, and wishing for a miracle is violently redirected into the physical reality of today. You become a machine of pure execution. Think back to the waiting room. You have been sitting in that sterile, fluorescent-lit room for years. You know every crack in the ceiling. You know the exact sound of the ticking clock. You have been clutching that golden ticket of hope, waiting for your perfect life to be announced over the loudspeaker. Look down at the ticket in your hand. It is a lie. It is a piece of garbage. It was given to you by a society that wants you to remain passive, obedient, and harmless. Tear it up. Stand up from the plastic chair. Walk past all the other people who are still sitting there, staring blankly at the departure board, praying for a savior. Do not try to wake them up. They are in love with their illusions. Leave them to their comfortable sleep. Walk to the heavy glass doors of the station. Push them open. Step outside. There is no red carpet. There is no parade waiting for you. There is only a freezing, violent, unrelenting storm. The wind howls. The mud is deep. The road is completely dark. And for the first time in your entire life, you are truly, terrifyingly alive. You are no longer a passenger waiting for a ride. You are the sovereign of your own destiny. Every step you take in the mud belongs to you. Every cut on your hands belongs to you. Every single ounce of progress you make from this day forward will not be the result of a miracle, or a lucky break, or the universe smiling down on you. It will be the result of your own undeniable, absolute force of will. Tonight, you will hold a funeral. You will lock the door to your room. You will sit in the silence, and you will formally bury your hope. You will bury the someday. You will bury the what if. You will bury the pathetic, fragile child inside of you that believes the world owes him a happy ending. Let the child die. Let the illusion burn. Tomorrow morning, you do not wake up with hope. You wake up with a sword in your hand. You look at your reality, you accept it in its entirety, and you begin the brutal, glorious work of conquering it. No more waiting. No more wishing. No more miracles. There is only the arena. This is core wisdom. If you are ready to kill the illusion, tear up the ticket, and walk the path of the sovereign, subscribe. Leave the herd behind.